being a friend, trying to be there when you can, and being honest.
Being supportive, plenty of love, and being a good listener.
Being there, considering the child and its needs, and being a big bundle of fun when you can.
Patience and tolerance, which would be number one, I think. Also leading or teaching by example, because I think, you know, certainly my children and friends' children kind of display the same behaviours that are displayed to them. So I think if I'm short and grumpy, then they learn shortness and grumpiness. If I'm positive and happy and willing, then they're the same. And also making time to spend together as a family. You know, it can often be difficult to do that, but it is, you know, it's a priority for me.
Patience, tenacity, and in some respects bravery, I think.
I think nowadays there isn't really much of a difference, to be honest with you. I mean, me being of African descendant, when my mother called me once and says, oh, hold on a minute, you know, she was ringing me from Africa, says, can you hold on a minute, I'm changing Zara's nappies. She nearly got a shock of her life. She was a bit depressed for a few days. Because in Africa, you know, women do everything, but because obviously the environment and the cultures are different. But in England, if I was to leave Amanda to do everything, I think it would be a bit of a nightmare for her. The pressure, the stress, trying to juggle, you know, having a job, looking after the child and looking after me.
I think you had pigeonholes in the old days where you had a certain role to fulfil. And now I just think being a good parent is just the role you need to fulfil, whatever context that is.
They have these antenatal classes that I went along to. I think I was one of about 2 or 3 that went along. And I actually learned stuff. If I hadn't have gone, I wouldn't have known, because it's my child. I want to know what, I think if things happen like things to do with her, activities and that, I want to know certain things. Services wise, I'll be honest, I don't think there's enough. It's more geared towards the mother, because traditionally speaking, the mother's been the one that stayed at home. The father's gone out, earned the money to help care for her. I think it's getting better. I don't know specifically dad-related, apart from this, dad-related things to actually cause events to go on. There should be more, because I'd go to more.
I think probably the biggest thing is actually for dads to be more aware of what there is out there and actually want to take part in stuff with their kids. I think mums naturally just tend to gravitate with antenatal groups and all that type of thing, are more inclined to know what's happening. Dads, because they're sometimes not that close to that side of it, just don't get the awareness they should have.
Yeah, I think there's still some things that like make it a little bit difficult. I think when you initially go into nurseries, it's very female-dominated environment. You can feel a bit uncomfortable. Generally, people, you know, most people are pretty helpful in making you feel comfortable, but sometimes you feel a bit like you're being scrutinised about how your parenting is as a father. I think there could be a bit more accommodation for dads who are trying.
No, not really. When my wife went for her normal checks, it's difficult. She can take it off as normal, as not part of annual leave, but I had to take, if I had to go with her for her normal checkups, then I would have to take annual leave off.
I worked for a very good employer who you know, was very understanding, and through the maternity experience I was sort of part of it all along the way, really, so it was great.
Where I work, I think there's a reasonable kind of acceptance that, yeah, I'm a dad and that I have certain responsibilities, but I don't think it's certainly not equal. It certainly wouldn't, you know, I mean, I can take 2 weeks paternity leave, but if I was to say, no, I want to take 6 months off, it'd be like, no chance, you know, that just wouldn't happen.
frowned upon when dads want more time off. There's still the stigma attached of, you know, mum stay at home, unfortunately. And I think there is a more vital role that dads can do, especially with young children and babies, and even when they go to school. You know, it's dads that want to take the kids to school as well. You know, and pick them up after school and watch them on sports days and go to parents' evenings and, you know, sort of do things more for the children.
It's, you know, when we grew up, I think the dad's role was to get out and work, and it's very difficult at the minute to sort of come away from that. But I do think that dads are a lot more hands-on now, because females can go out, and it's quite common for females to be the breadwinner in, you know, and I've got a few friends who have to give up work because the wives earn more money. I think that's a good thing. You know, I think because times have moved on, I think they've got to start recognising. That's one change they've got to, you know, you've got to recognise.
Men in general these days are a lot happier about expressing their feelings more and that kind of thing. I've got a great relationship with my dad, but he's not the type of guy that turns around all the time and tells me he loves me. I know that he does, but it's not something that I would say, and I think men generally these days are happier to express their feelings more. So I think there's a lot more things that generally were a mother's job that a dad would do these days.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's probably more focus now on dads to be around more and to contribute more than there was maybe a generation or two ago, when it was more acceptable for dads to just turn up, go down the pub, come back, and the child was kind of there for a bit of entertainment, really. I think there's more pressure now on dads.
What's the best thing that Daddy does?
Stand on his knees and then I stand back on the floor.
Ah, right, you jump on me.
I can play with him and he's always there for me, so I can always have time with him all the time.